Hello everyone, welcome to the Unit 3 test review notes. Remember, we have done all of these questions in previous assignments, and you have that chart that tells you where to look. So if you haven't already been using your other notes, now would be a good time to start. Otherwise, here is another refresher on how to do the most missed questions, as you can see here. Alright, let's get started with number 2. So, the directions say, find the equation, no it doesn't, the directions say, that you're given the equation, find the x-intercept and the y-intercept, and use them to graph. So if you've been trying to solve this for y, and then plot the y-intercept and use the slope, it's not that your line is wrong, it's that you're not following the directions to use the intercepts to graph. So if you didn't plot a point on the x-axis and plot on the y-axis, Alex knows that you're not graphing using intercepts. So to find the x-intercept, we're going to let y equal 0. So we have 2x plus 3 times 0. I really don't know why I put that 3 in parentheses. So negative 12 cancels. 2x equals negative 12 divided by 2. And x equals negative 6. So I get negative 6 when I plug in 0 for y. To find the y-intercept, we're going to let x equal 0. So 2 times 0 plus 3y equals negative 12. Cancels. 3y equals negative 12. Divide. And I get y equals negative 4. So when I let x be 0, I got out negative 4. Plot those 2 points. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And use your line tool to get a nice line. Okay, number 6, we have our point slope formula, which I have typed up right here. Remember, this formula comes with subtraction. So if subtraction turned into addition, you should immediately be thinking in your mind that they plugged in a negative 1 for y and a negative 1 for x, because that minus a minus is what would turn subtraction into addition. So when I'm extracting my point, it's negative 1, and my slope is negative 1 over 4. So I plot that point, 1, 1, and then I can go up or down. So I'm going to go up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if you went down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Be very careful counting on your x-axis here because not every number is labeled. And that's it for number 6. Number 7. We have 3 lines. It says for each one, determine if they're parallel or perpendicular. So I just made a quick note here. Remember, for two slopes to be parallel, they need to have the same exact slope. So same sign and same number. Perpendicular, they're opposite signs. So one positive, one negative, and the reciprocals. And then you have neither where it's just neither. It's neither one of these two. Now I picked this one because it's kind of a special case. I have x equals and y equals. And what you need to remember there is that if it's an x equals equation, that is a vertical line. Y equals is a horizontal line. And this one, if I divide both sides by 5, I get x equals 2/5. Again, x equals is a vertical line. So I'm looking at lines 1 and 2. If I have a vertical line and a horizontal line, then those are automatically perpendicular. Lines 1 and 3 what I'm going to do. line 1 is vertical. So I'm sorry, let me just label this. This is A, B. So I'm going to label this A and B, just to make sure you match these up correctly. Alright, so line 1 is vertical. Line 3 is also vertical. So those are parallel. And then 2 and 3, again, is just like A, where you have a horizontal and vertical, so that's perpendicular. Moving right along. I actually included another number 7 that's a little special in terms of being different from the one in the previous notes. So here, that's easy. My slope is 2. For line 2, I can just kind of come over here and solve. So I'm going to subtract 6x. Divide by -3. Remember, I'm not a big fan of one big line. Divide by -3. I think people make way fewer mistakes if every term gets its own. Negative divided by negative is positive. Negative divided by negative is positive. So for line 2, my slope is also 2. And here my slope is 2. Now I included these two versions of number 7 because sometimes when things come out a little funky, we think we're doing something wrong. But if we've checked our math, we've checked our work, and nothing is wrong, go with it. So in this case, they all have the same slope. Check it out. They're all parallel to each other. Okay, number 8. These 2 points are on a line with that slope. Find the missing coordinate. So for number 8, we're going to use the slope formula to solve. So I'm going to subtract my y's, subtract my x's. You're free to go left to right or right to left. Me personally, I prefer going left to right just because that's how we read. I know a lot of people prefer going the other way though, so I will go the other way. R minus 2 over 9 minus 3. You throw arrows on there for direction. R minus 2, 9 minus -3. And typically, I'd be writing m here, but I don't need to because I know my slope. It's right here. 3/4. Okay, time to solve. So when you're looking at this, ask yourself, what's the one thing you can do? Well, that's r. I don't know what r is. 3/4 is just 3/4. But then notice 9 minus -3. We can simplify that. So r minus 2 over minus and minus is plus, so that's 12. Equals 3/4. So now we have a fraction equals a fraction, which means we have a proportion, which means we need to cross multiply. So we're going to do 3 times 12. And 4 times r minus 2. At this point, if you'd like to pause and finish it from here, that would be great. Okay, let's see how you did. It doesn't matter which diagonal you start with. I'm going to start with the blue diagonal. So that would be 4 parenthesis r minus 2 equals 12 times 3. Go ahead and distribute that 4. 4r minus 8 equals 36. Add 8 to both sides. 4r equals 36 plus 8 is 44. Divide by 4. And I get my final answer, r equals 11. Now, if you are not confident with your answer, you can check. Remember, this is a slope formula. So if we did this correctly, we should be able to plug in 11 for r, find the slope of these 2 points, and it should come out to be 3/4. So go ahead and pause and try. Okay, let's see how you did. And there you go, it works. Plugged it in right there, just to be clear. Notice it was 9, r. We are thinking that r is 11. I plugged it into slope formula and I got 3/4, which means I did it correctly. Number 9. Find an equation for the line that passes through these 2 points. Now notice it says find an equation. So we had talked about how that means you can do point slope or slope intercept. But remember, even though you can use point slope equation here, if you make a mistake, the explanation will only show you how to write using slope intercept form. So we're going to do both. Either way though, the first thing we need to do is calculate slope. So change in y, change in x. And this time, just to show that it works either way, I am going to go left to right this time. So I have m equals 2 minus 4 over negative 4 minus 2. 2 minus 4 is negative 2, negative 6, and I get a slope of 1/3. Okay, so option number 1 for my equation is point slope formula. First, we're going to pick the point negative 4, 2, and my slope is 1/3. So this would be my x1, y1. So I would have y minus 2 equals m, x minus negative 4. So my answer there would be y minus 2 equals 1/3 x plus 4. And I could type that in as my final answer, and I would be done. Or I could pick the other point, 2, 4, and my slope is still 1/3 x1, y1. Y minus 4 equals 1/3 x minus 2. Plugged in positive coordinates there, so no sign changes. Option number 2, slope intercept formula. So I can pick either point and I would get the same answer. I'm going to choose 2, 4, just because that way I don't have to worry about negatives. And I already know my slope from step 1 is 1/3. Let's plug it in. 4 equals 1/3 x plus b. 4 equals 2/3 plus b. I need to get b by itself. I'm solving for my y-intercept. So I'm going to subtract 2/3 from both sides. So now I have 4 over 1 minus 2 over 3 equals b. To subtract fractions, I know that I need common denominators. So this is over 3. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 3. Now I have 12 over 3 minus 2 over 3, giving me 10 over 3. You could turn that into a proper fraction, but Alex does not require you to, and we're going to leave it like that because less chance for a mistake if we just leave it. So my final answer, y equals, my m I already knew was 1/3, and my y-intercept, which I just solved for, 10/3. And that's it. So for number 9, you actually had 3 different correct answers. All would be marked correct. Number 11, everybody's favorite, graph analysis. Okay, so I'm going to just scroll down to the questions first because I don't want to have to scroll up and down, up and down. So I need to know what my 4 slopes are. and I need to know what my 4 y-intercepts are. So we're going to just identify that for all 4 above so that I can just scroll down and then record our answers on the bottom. So for function number 1, my slope, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I went up 5 over 1, so my slope is 5. And my y-intercept is right here, -2. Function number 2, my slope, well, let's find out. Change in y over change in x. So I need change in y over change in x. Now, I could pick 2 points and actually do the whole formula. Or I could say, well, when x goes up by 1, well, no, not the fact that it has to go up by 1. It does go up by 1. My y values go down by 4. And then my x values go up by 1 again. And my y values go down by 4 again. So change in y is -4. Change in x is 1. So that slope is -4. And then for my y-intercept, it's right here. 0, -4. Remember, no different than how this right here was 0, -2. X is 0, that's for my y-intercept. So b equals -4 as well. Coincidence. Function number 3 is a little easier. M is 2, y-intercept is 1, and 4 is the easiest. It just tells me slope is -1 and intercept is 5. Okay, so now I'm going to scroll down. Now for you, you have this all on one page, so it'll be easy. Slopes less than 3. Let's record our answers from above. So for function number 1, we had a slope of 5. Function 2, we had a slope of -4. Function 3 was a slope of 2. And function 4 was a slope of -1. So less than 3, let's see, 5 is not less than 3. -4 is, 2 and -1 is. So all 3 of these are less than 3. So that means I have 3 answers. Directions say check all that apply. Which function has a graph with a y-intercept closest to 0? So function 1 had a y-intercept of -2. Function 2 had a y-intercept of -4. Function 3 was 1. And function 4 was 5. So closest to 0, doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, we're just looking at distance on the number line. That would be function 3. Because out of all of these, 1 is closest. And then which one is the greatest y-intercept? If you want, you can just rewrite them all, but I'm just going to, well, yeah, let's just rewrite them. B is -2, -4, 1, and 5. So largest would definitely be 5. And here positives do matter. Like if I had a -6, that would have not been my answer because positive numbers are greatest. So a way of thinking about that is just think if it says least or greatest, there we're talking about the actual value. So positives, negatives matter. Versus if it was looking for steepness, it's supposed to spell steepness, we're looking at the shape of our graph. Positives, negatives don't matter. Or same thing with like closest. You're looking at distance. So it does matter. Very good. Number 12. Okay, take a second, read it to yourself first. Now from our previous notes, I went ahead and wrote in the 3 steps. If you want to take a moment and pause, you can write them in. Or if you're worried about space issues, you can pause as we go, because maybe you need a little more space than I do, depending on how big you write. Alright, so first let's identify our coordinate points. So I see here that 12 gallons of fuel gives me an airplane weight of 1,978 pounds versus 42 gallons of fuel gives me a weight of 2173. So I have 2 coordinate points. I have 12, 1978, and 42, 2173. Now, if you're finding that you often make silly mistakes with slope, writing your points vertically actually helps some people, because now when I go to do my subtraction, check it out. My 2 y values are stacked and my 2 x values are stacked. So my slope, 1978 minus 2173 over 12 minus 42. This is obviously a calculator question, so you get negative 195 over negative 30, which is 6.5. A good opportunity to check here, this is an increasing graph, which means my slope should be positive. If you got a negative number, that would be a really good sign that you need to go back and see where you messed up. Okay, step number 2. Create a formula by picking a point. Doesn't matter which point you pick. I'm going to choose the smaller point, so I'm going to choose 12, 1978. So that's going to be my x1, y1. And we're going to use point slope formula. So we have y minus y1 equals m. X minus x1, we're going to plug in our info. Y minus 1978 equals 6.5. It's supposed to be a 5. X minus 12. So this is actually the formula that we're going to use to solve the question. Right there. Okay, good. Final step. Plug in the x value you're solving for. So the question asked me, how much does the airplane weigh if it's carrying 48 gallons of fuel? So I'm going to let x, or let x equal 48 in that formula that we just made. From here, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and click pause and see if you can do it on your own. See how you did. Y minus 1978 equals 6.5. X minus 48 is my formula. Oh, excuse me, x minus 12. My apologies. 6.5 x minus 12. Almost made a transfer error there. Y minus 1978 equals 6.5. 48 minus 12. Now on your calculator in ALEKS, you can actually type in this entire thing as you see it with parentheses and everything. And when you do that and hit enter, you're going to get 234. And nothing on this side changed. So to get my final answer, to get y by itself, I'm going to add 1978 to both sides. My final answer, 2,212 pounds. Next, number 13, everybody's favorite test, the vertical line test. Now, I'm not completely sure where we're struggling here, so I just want to remind you that when you draw a vertical line, it has to pass everywhere. So, for example, here, it passes. Nothing wrong there. Nothing wrong here. Still good, still good, still good. Still good. Now, the question here would be, does it pass there? Yes, it does, because if you'll notice, I have a solid dot on top of an open dot, and in that case, it passes. So we have yes. Take my test line. Pass, 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 pass. Yep, passes everywhere. That would be a yes. Oh, I don't like that line. Okay, points, we're good. Still good, good, and good. Yes, it's a function. Now here, it is a function, but here, notice I have 3 points, all of them closed, so that's a fail. And then notice here, vertical line touches twice, fails a lot, and then fail, fail, fail. So all 3 of these are no's. No, no, and no. Number 14. Take a second, read it to yourself. Okay. Key points when you were reading. Height is on my x-axis. Temperature is on my y-axis. Notice I'm told that it's decreasing in temperature by 5 degrees for each kilometer. So 2 things there. When you see the word decrease, that tells me it's negative. And whenever you see for each, so phrasings like per, each, and every should immediately make you think slope. So let's write our equation. Now I'm not going to use y equals because those are not my variables. I have t on the y-axis, h on the x, and remember, uppercase matters. So it's giving me a capital T and a capital H, so that's what I'm going to use. So t equals, my slope is -5, h, and I'm starting at my starting location temperature is 45 degrees. Next we need to graph. And to graph a line, I need, that is not how you spell need.